My name is Nkunda Felix.
I'm Robert Kirabo Nyonyintono.
It's glory for Uganda
for the first time in history.
Anything in sports, join me.
Wake up to Good Morning Uganda, weekdays on UBC.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios, this is Good Morning Uganda.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Baruch Sinipoza once said that if you want to change the present, you must be able to look into the past. And given the fact that we are under a new normal, COVID-19 is here to stay. But this is not the first time we're having this kind of flu and cough attacking the entire globe. The year was 1918 when we had the similar extent of influenza affecting not just certain parts of the globe, but the entire globe, and it claimed over 20 For Siponza, he's simply saying, if we want to change the present, let's look into the past. And when we look into the past, we can avoid the mistakes of the past to be able to make better decisions for our present. Good morning to Uganda. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga, and welcome to the first day, July 2021. Quite exciting that now we move into not just the second half of the year, but we move into the first quarter of the budget for the year 2021 into 2022. Also, this is the first day that Ugandans are going to breathe fresh air because OTT is no more. And people have been going all over social media, been excited that yes, the OTT is no more. 1st July, they're going to be free from OTT. What they don't know, that 12% by every data loading is coming their way. But anyway, that's the conversation me and my brothers are going to be having. Good morning to you, Felix Nkunda.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm all right. Well, of course, good morning to you all Ugandans who wake up to start your day with us here on Good Morning Uganda, and for all of you peace-loving Ugandans and, of course, health-loving Ugandans who are trying as much as you can to keep together yourselves at times of COVID-19, who are not actually forgetting to put on your masks, social distancing, sanitizing, and, of course, eating well, doing lots of exercises, and taking lots of water to fight this deadly virus, COVID-19. We do celebrate you today as we enter into the third quarter of 2021. Trust me, we will be able to get done with this. And of course, as every day passes, we also getting good information about the reducing numbers of registered cases who are testing positive. At least that is a ray of hope for us. And of course, people who are recovering equally is a ray of hope for us, but not taking into doubt the people who have lost their loved ones. I've seen many people losing their loved ones, their relatives, their sisters, their brothers, their mothers, their fathers, their grandparents. We do pray and put you in the hearts and of course hands of God to do comfort you and make you understand that it is God who gives in life and equally who takes in death. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Felix. Good morning, Priscilla. And good morning, our dear viewer. Thank you so much for making us a TV of your choice this morning. Well, Felix talked about how far the Lord has been faithful to us. You've woken up, you're alive. Don't forget to thank the Lord. But also, he talked about these moments being trying. And we always say, where do you run to at such a time? Yesterday, I was speaking to, that is Tinka Ziribabwa, who happens to be, that is the acting commissioner in charge of anti-narcotics at the Criminal Intelligence Department of Uganda Police. And he told me there has been an increase of use of narcotics in this time. They have registered a 14% increase, where some people are not doing this for medicinal purposes, but finding it as one of the ways to handle depression, to handle stress, and such a trying moment. So where do you run to? Where do you run to? Do you run to God? Do you run to reading information that is taking you to other levels? Or do you resort to such things that are even going to do more harm to you than actually the situation that you're battling with currently? And also I want to wish the Communist Party of China, today they celebrate 100 years of existence. That is our brothers and sisters of China under the Communist Party. Happy centenary celebrations this day.
All right, now Kirabo has talked about how people are coping in different forms and ways, and one of the ways people are choosing to cope with this new normal is by turning to drugs. Yesterday I was having a conversation with Nyonyintono. She was talking about how to stay alive during this time and keep hope alive in ourselves. So I would like to recommend that agenda to you. You can go over to our YouTube channel. There is a streaming of that conversation from yesterday. Find out for yourself how you can keep quiet or keep all this madness away from yourself, center yourself, get to rediscover yourself, find your purpose that is supposed to be influential in this season so that you can thrive through these tough times. Now you go to our YouTube channel, which is UBC Television Uganda, punch in Good Morning Uganda 30th June 2021, and then you will be seeing Good Morning Uganda agenda coming up to you. Listen to it and it's going to give you a pointer or two. Wake up in the morning and realize that you are alive. That alone should be something for you to be grateful for. And then embrace gratitude. Much as we have so many complaints around us, so many things are not going on well around us, and yet there's small tiny things that are also happening, positive things that are happening. When you focus on the positivity, trust you me, your environment is equally going to become positive and productive. And as we speak of positive and productive, Felix Nkunda, I'm pretty sure you do have a scripture in this line.
Wow. Wow. Well, of course, for me, I've been trying to look at Romans 8 in particular. It does talk about something I said last Friday, but I also want to say it again because it is that we build confidence from, about relieving ourselves from bondage of fear. Again, I think it's most resonant in times like this, that let us not accept to become prisoners or slaves to situations. COVID is a situation. It does not define our life. In fact, I have been also meditating upon the statement that the new normal, that can't be the new normal for us. That is simply something that will pass and we'll get back to our life, but we must also hold on to the confidence that God is our only Redeemer in times like this.
All right, so our special song for today, and I hope my producer is hearing this, will be No Longer Slave to Fear. Oh, yeah. That is a very good expression, a song that we all need to hear of this morning. So No Longer Slave to Fear will be our song for the day. But before we go into the song, filled up with things to engage you in matters of discussion, right from politics into sports, into weather and climate. And many people have been wondering, but Priscilla, there's no traffic on the road. Really, sincerely, why?
Well, unless they are not, of course, many are at home. But one of the areas you'll find traffic is police roadblocks that are aiming at preventing non-essential workers from accessing town.
You said you had experience yesterday?
Yesterday I had a very annoying experience. I approached this roadblock, and that was around 8. I was coming from work. So there was this young man, he had even a letter. I think either he was beaten by thugs and the whole face was swollen. So as I approached this roadblock, he was on a border motorcycle and they are holding him. Yet it's sure even has the plasters and everything. So I parked at distance and I noticed that actually, much as there are good officers enforcing the presidential directive on curfew, there are also some wrong individuals that are using this to extort money. So I was carefully wondering why this patient is on a border in his situation, and it seems they have parked them there, no one is bothered. So I came up to the officer and asked, "Officer, I'm not obstructing any form of justice, but I'm just wondering, what is he doing here?" So he asked me, "Who are you? By the way, where are you going at this time?" I brought out my ID, I showed him, and you know what happened? They told that boy,
after showing your identification.
After showing my ID. So that rang something. The previous day, I was moving around Chengela, I saw this pregnant woman on a border. Yes, she had no form of documentation.
But the pregnancy,
but it was very clear, and they packed the border man asking where is any form of documentation, and the lady was even finding it difficult to breathe. Until still, I had to call someone, and I want to thank Afana Hatoli Moletera, that is Community Liaison Office, Uganda Police, and I asked, but there is a situation I don't understand. Very fast, this lady was let to go. So I think there's something that I think the police must really ensure that they don't only monitor vehicles, but also monitor. Either they have people disguising as civilians to follow what exactly happens on some of these checkpoints.
Well, that's an absurd story, and I know many of you have actually had this nature of experience. Again, we appeal to the law enforcers for the directives of the president and also guiding us in keeping the SOPs. Please, we are fellow Ugandans with you. If you are not lenient with us, who are you going to be lenient with? But only you can answer that question while you are on duty today. Speaking of duty today, on our duty today, we start off by reflecting in the last 24 hours. What are the stories that have actually made headlines in the conversations all over the country?
And we begin with the police roadblocks that are aiming at ensuring the presidential directive of only having essential workers and accredited vehicles on the road, where police yesterday arrested a number of people, among whom was a lady who was masquerading to be a patient in possession of fake medical documents, using them to access town, contrary to the standing presidential directive on restriction of movements. The operation, in which many vehicles were also impounded, that is in the areas of Chibuye and Wandegea. Police also arrested a white who was using a global positioning satellite, that is GPS, to move around Kampala with no idea of where he was going. Many vehicles were being impounded at various roadblocks within Kampala Metropolitan. Our observation of the situation analysis started from Chibuye roundabout, where police and other sister agencies mounted roadblocks to bar those that are not supposed to be in the city or move on the road. Many vehicles were impounded, and those who had required documents to keep them on the road were allowed to proceed, but details of their vehicles could be registered with police.
The COVID-19 second phase mass vaccination exercise in and around Kampala has registered a low turnout, which many who managed to get their second jab to complete the vaccination dose attributed to the lockdown and bad weather conditions, which were characterized by heavy downpour. The 3 vaccines currently available are all designed to work across 2 doses. Having 2 doses leads to a stronger, better immune response from your body and longer lasting protection. It is important that everyone gets the 2 doses. And according to experts, one is supposed to have a second dose as soon as you are offered it. With the availability of the second lot of the AstraZeneca vaccines, Ugandans are invited to get their second dose between 4 to 12 weeks after their first dose. And the Ugandan government is aiming to vaccinate many Ugandans above 18, but first priority is given to frontline health or social care workers, teachers, security personnel, the elderly, among others, after a maximum of 8 weeks, so that they have the greatest protection as soon as possible.
Still on COVID-19 treatment, a Choli parliamentary group has appealed to government not to tax non-medical supplies that will be imported by St. Mary's Hospital, Lacho, soon. This comes at a time when the hospital is receiving an applause for its low cost of treatment of COVID-19. The Choli parliamentary group is pledging to work closely with government to ensure non-medical supplies are not taxed, needed by medical workers to treat patient-specific illnesses or injuries in accordance with the physician's plan to care that are directly identifiable to a non-individual patient. Many of these non-medical supplies are not provided by government, they are bought by the hospital. The MP of Clark North, Anthony Akol, emphasized that the hospital is serving the impoverished Ugandans and subsidies and ensure low-cost treatment is given to them. The board member of Lacho Hospital, Atim Korot, said it is expensive to run the facility. However, the MPs note that government should assist such hospitals, and this will be reflected in the low cost of treatment for the patients.
Elsewhere, the Directorate of Crime Intelligence has reinforced its operations to handle the adverse effects of the lockdown, especially sexual and domestic violence. 200 detectives have been recruited to support the investigations, which are likely to be intense based on increasing complaints. The 2020 police crime report indicates an increase in the rate of sexual and domestic violence by 14%. This is much attributed to the lockdown, which was instituted to curb the spread of COVID-19. But based on that experience and the increasing complaints from the public about sexual-related cases and domestic violence, the Directorate of Crime Intelligence has reinforced its investigations. 2 operational vehicles and 29 motorcycles have been dispatched to fix the quick response, as it may require different parts of the country. Reckless parents accused of escalating domestic violence and closure of schools is responsible for the increasing cases of defilement.
COVID has come along with other issues that we must also handle, also when it comes to criminality. Actually, police have also put a vehicle to evacuate in case you have a person in your area and they are using drugs and they have become a nuisance. Please, they can evacuate them. So you just have to call a line and they will be at your doorstep to ensure they evacuate such people. So criminality, though we have curfew, is also another issue that we have to tackle at such a time and also prioritize it.
Actually, you speak of it and you remind me of one of our colleagues yesterday. They were coming to work and they got attacked at a very interesting hour, between 5:30 and 6 a.m. They got mugged by thieves, and you're thinking, okay, how do these young people have the audacity to actually do gang theft at such a time, by the way, with all the heavy deployment of security all over the place? Now that shows you that people are being ruthless, and I think this time round they are willing to go the extra mile for maybe food. I wouldn't know any other way to say
But one would say a criminal-minded person is a criminal-minded person. Even when they have, they'll still rob or inflict damage on people.
Yeah, but some of these pressures have caused people to turn to alternative means of survival. But anyway, we still have alternative news that has come from all over the globe, and Felix Nkunda is going to be giving us what's happening on the international scene.
Now, of course, we will start off with the story of the Communist Party coming out to celebrate 100 years of existence, or what you want to call the 100th anniversary. While we saw the president of China, that is Xi Jinping, said China does not oppress any other country. However, at his speech, again, maiden speech, he did make comments saying that it is not in the core mandate of the founding members of this particular party. In comments seen as reference to the US, Mr. Xi also warned against anyone who tries to oppress China, that they would have them pressed their heads against a steel wall and bashed. Now, of course, he also comes out to say, A vetted crowd of about 70,000 are in Beijing, and of course Tiananmen Square. Many of them are not wearing masks. Mr. Xi, who has been speaking for around an hour, also reiterated the role of the party in modern China, saying that it had been central to the country's growth story, and attempts to separate it from the people would fail. Now he added, "We will never allow anyone to bully or oppress or subjugate China." China has repeatedly accused US of trying to curb its growth, and these comments are also seen as a reference to Washington. Now, ceremonies on Thursday morning also saw military jet fly past, cannon salutes and patriotic songs played. The country has seen a media blitz in the recent weeks promoting a party approval version of China's history, and Hong Kong is also marking its handover anniversary in the same way. Now, quite saddening a story while we do crossover to Canada. We see never seen anything like this death surge in Canada due to the worst heat wave on record. Authorities say nearly 500 people have died in Canada's westernmost province across 5 days as a record-breaking temperature raises serious concerns for vulnerable groups, including the elderly. Now, British Columbia's Chief Coroner Lisa Lepoint said that Wednesday afternoon that the BC coroner's service received at least 486 reports of deaths between Friday and Wednesday afternoon, a total she was a preliminary expecting to increase. Now, fatalities also represent a 195% increase from the approximate death that was expected of 165 that would normally occur in the province across 5 days period. Leponte said the last 5 days in British Columbia have seen an unprecedented number of deaths reported by the BC Coroner Service. Also, she made statement. Now, while it is too early to say with certainty how many these deaths are, it is also unlikely and expected that the deaths will increase amidst these days. However, temperatures have soared, and of course in most of the Canadian provinces and territories, as to be so-called heat dome weather system that traps air and descends on the country's west coast as well as the Pacific Northwest of the United States of America. It's really sad, but we do cross over to Africa, where again we'll be looking at Malawi female MPs dress up as schoolgirls. And Malawians have been sharing photos on social media of female MPs dressed up as schoolgirls, some delighting in their outfit, others unimpressed by the stunt. The country's 193-member parliament usually has a strict dress code, but it was relaxed on Tuesday for the chambers. 43 female politicians. MP Gotia Hara said the gesture was meant to send a strong message to girls from successful careers, women, that with hard work everything is possible. Studies show up to at least 15% of Malawian girls drop out of school before finishing primary education. This is put down to the range of reasons, including poverty, pregnancy, or being forced into early marriage. Now, some people found humor in how the politicians were dressed. One even carried fried maize in the plastic bottle, typically a snack that children carry to school. However, other rural areas didn't take much interest in what was happening. Wow, that was quite a message, I must acknowledge, and that was quite a good gesture. I hope the targeted group did be encouraged by that kind of gesture.
Seeing a member of parliament actually sending out a message and identifying the kind of message that they're sending out to. Now that is a strong voice that they're using to actually let these girls know. And of course it comes from the background that so many young girls drop out of school before they even become of age, and that is 18 years of age. So I do applaud the Malawi parliament for actually allowing this to happen and send that message. It gives hope to the young child. No, I must strive so hard and ensure that I don't drop out so that one day I can become like.
Actually, if a member of parliament puts on a uniform you're putting on in school, something similar to that is very evident that you too can get to that level. And you know, Something small can cause a change. Something small can inspire. It doesn't have necessarily to be a government position. But for me, there's another story that moved me so much. That is what is happening in Canada. You know, when we discuss issues of climate change, global warming, sometimes they seem very far away from us. But I must tell our colleagues here in Uganda that unless we change, that we are doing our things, the way we are craving for industries, sometimes we don't even have environment impact assessment reports done to perfection, that we are cutting down forests, that we are playing with this environment. At one time, this, it may not be in the next 10, 20 years, but this is possible to a country like Uganda.
Well, of course, also something quite similar to what we've seen, what's happening in Malawi is Ghana also came out to pass a law, by the way, that they would only have uniforms for students made in African fabric, which I found so interesting and beautiful. They will have those uniforms made in Kitengi. You know, school X will have Kitengi like this or this. I think that was quite an African.
No, that is what they call bubu.
Yeah.
For the Ghanaian country, of course.
That would be gugu. That would be gubu. But anyway, but anyway, something also interesting is what Robert did mention. The issue of Canada is very worrying.
Yeah, actually,
it's something
and the heat wave is moving from Canada. It's starting to actually enter the United States of America. Yesterday, Seattle had recorded 49 degrees Celsius in terms of heat.
Actually, I remember there's a time I was somewhere and I was told that they have ever spent one full year coming to about, I think we're coming to about 2 years without a droplet of rain. In Uganda, they hadn't for almost coming to 2 years in the state of Texas. And I was like, no. They're like, yeah, it happens. So for them, they live on ACs. And guess what? In a country like Uganda is where we never know. We are sure that rain would come. We even have seasons. We have, and even sometimes in other seasons, rain surprises us. Like yesterday, it rained almost the whole day. Yeah. Well, and as other countries are grappling with weather, we're grappling with COVID, and we can only say God is great.
Natural calamities, natural
We can only
disasters.
say God is great.
Yeah, yeah, as you have said. But Kirabo did make mention of how it all comes out. That many years past, Canada was not the Canada you have today. It was probably an old green country, and this kind of weather was not in Canada maybe 100 years ago. But today, because of evolution, because of infrastructure development, they have done away with the green. They've done away with the natural elements, the ecosystem that allows the recycling of what we live in, especially in
messed with the ozone layer.
Yeah.
More industries.
Exactly.
We just
but Moland is going to give us more details about this conversation in Weather and Nature later on. Now we're going to be going for a break, and our song for the day is No Longer Slave to Fear. Let this inspire you as we get into the next hour of Good Morning Uganda.
was brought to you by...
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Century Points when you deposit, send and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go. MTN.
Airtel Uganda has the best and most affordable rates when it comes to withdrawing and sending money. Withdraw money for as low as 330 shillings up to a maximum of 12,500 shillings. Sending money is just as affordable as ever. Absolutely unbeatable. Use Airtel Money on the most affordable network with the largest network of Airtel Money branches in Uganda. Dial *185# to get started. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
COVID-19 chijja kugwa. If we get vaccinated now, observe social distancing, wear a mask properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly. Together we can defeat this enemy.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning to you once again and welcome to our newsreel where we look at an issue that is of great concern to you who is watching us this morning. That was a very lovely song, that is I'm No Longer a Slave of Fear. And I just want to add a scripture to that. That is Psalms 34 from, that is verse 4 to 5. It says, I sought the Lord and he answered me and delivered me from all my fears. Those who look to him are radiant, and their faces shall never be ashamed. So at such a time, let your focus not be drugs. Let your focus not be alcohol. Let your focus be on the Lord God, your Creator, and find better ways of handling this, whatever situation you're going through, rather than resorting to things that are of a danger. Today is the 1st of July, and this ushers in the commencing of the rolling out of the budget for 2021-2022, that is financial year. And this is a budget to a tune of about 44.7 billion, of which we expect, that is trillion, of which we expect to collect about 22 trillion domestically. That means from the taxpayers' money, and maybe somewhere we could go to these commercial banks to pick some of these monies. Now, the challenging bit of rolling out this budget is it has come at a time of the pandemic, and more so, we are now in the 42 days of lockdown where they are commencing. We want to look at one of the biggest challenges of this budget, and that is going to be financing the budget. Some of the sectors are totally under lockdown, while others are just recovering from the first wave and the first lockdown. This is what we're going to be discussing, Priscilla and Felix. And I want to start with you, Priscilla. When we talk about this budget, we know that there's what we get from external, but I want us to focus on what we are going to be getting, collecting domestically, that 22 trillion domestic collection. We are expecting from fuel, you'll find that cars are now, many public transport has been put on hold. When we look at the business community, a number of sectors are under lockdown, yet we are relying on them so much as ways where we are going to collect these monies from.
Thank you so much, Kirabo, for your submission. And as we get to have the 2021-2022 budget rolled out starting today, interesting to note that on 10th June, when we had this budget reading given to Ugandans, it was a normal day, no expectations of so much as a lockdown, and a lockdown that would then be within the year that we're supposed to be having another budget being set out or rolled out for that matter. So a lot of pressures are coming through in terms of how best will the Ministry of Finance and Planning be able to actually collect these monies. Now, please note that in terms of budgeting, yes, you're talking about the 22 trillion that's supposed to be collected from Ugandans' pockets. However, when it comes to budgeting, you have to break down, or it's broken down in terms of sectors, it's broken down in terms of the needs of those sectors, and the money is then given in accordance to what they have planned for in that financial year. However, even when the money is being released, it's released in terms of quotas depending on priority of needs. Not that they'll give you the whole lump sum to be able to do what you have to do as a sector, as a ministry, and whoever feeds off the Ugandan budget. For that consideration, question then comes in, where is this money going to be coming from? Well, we had been given a commitment that we will be financing the bigger part of that budget, which is 76.3% of that financing coming from Ugandans, in the reality that things were back to normal. And normal implying that Ugandans from the least to the greatest had all started recovering and regaining in terms of returns, in terms of benefits, in terms of dividends on whatever it is that they were laying their hands on, that then gave them a wage or a reward, in terms monetary reward. However, now, as of a few days ago, we had the president coming out and declaring a second lockdown, a total lockdown, which has caused lockdown on some of these sectors that would have greatly poured into the financial budget, and also from which the collectors of these taxes, like URA, would be collecting these taxes. Now that means that given the way it had been split out, you might have a challenge in execution of some of the duties of the ministries, because where is the money going to be coming out from? Now, there are two options. Either you have to be okay with what's going on, or create an environment that is going to actually help the sectors that are greatly taxed or heavily taxed to be able to continue using the resources or trading here and there to be able to spend and receive money, so that then you can have the taxation process still going on. For example, you have the people of Kirabo. From the directives, you have the industries are still functioning, but then the trade ports are not functioning. The trade pathways are not functioning. For example, the Kirabo is closed off. No business is going on. So the manufacturer is going to manufacture goods, but where are those goods going to go to in order to reach the retailer, in order for the end user to consume, and the taxation is then given in accordance to the line of trade. Now that brings in a challenge, because you're having minimal of that. Most consumable right now is pharmaceuticals and maybe perishables are the most consumables right now. So that is something to think about. Now that means that you're going to lose money in this period, and then you have pressure to come up with the 22 that you have talked about.
Yes, Felix, talking about this budget, recently I saw the Minister for Finance, Matia Saja, when he said actually due to COVID-19 we are going to have some budget cuts because we're going to raise about 600 billion that is into COVID-19. But also one would look at it, Felix, this other way, that yes, you have some sectors that are under lock, though they are key sectors, that maybe these could create funds. For example, you look at the education sector, that yes, much as there is something that has to be done there, you will find that now it's under lock, and maybe there could be funds here and there that will finally see Uganda sail through.
In terms of...
I think it's meaning realignment of the budget in consideration of now what is active vis-a-vis what is not active.
No, but that is also a very much wrong approach. It's a wrong approach. And the worst example you can give is education. Instead of trying to get money off the budget, we're supposed to find ways of making sure it's still operation even in times of COVID. That should be the idea. That if we look at the most, what we call the bedrock practices of a country and where or which ministries they fall in, that should guide us on where to focus our energies in times like this. You cannot risk getting monies from particular ministries. For example, you can't risk to put education at a hold. You must find ways of doing that same thing. For example, in times like this, what is the most relevant attribute for that? That if we want to have education still go on electronically, where should we be investing this budget as we roll it out? Should we be talking probably much more in terms of information technology?
ICT there, yes.
Shouldn't we be discussing, if you have challenges of like tourism, let's say, it's one of the biggest, what we call internal revenue from abroad. How do you make it thrive in times of COVID? Now, it means that you may have to go into electronic tourism. Is the country thinking that way? Because if you think that, and I had the president coming out to say in his last talk that tourists are allowed, but between you and me, you know, tourists in Uganda, they need guides, they need people to drive them, they need the hotels, they don't exist in isolation of the entire economy. Somehow, somewhere, you know, some tourists come here to see Ugandans.
Yes.
Ugandans are part of it. They have these interactions. Some of them come to visit these recreation centers. You've seen them in bars, hotels. They love to go, like, you know, the Ndere cultural places. If these places, it's sort of like, it works all together for the same. But we can do electronic tourism. Yes, for example, you look at, if you want to appreciate culture, how much data have we recorded in terms of the diverse cultures in Uganda? And this is by government, not by the kingdoms. By government. Do we have this information well recorded? Is it available for sale online? Because these sites, we can create a site where people can buy into, and they pay online. You've seen, it's all over now. You pay with your Visa card, with your green card, your MasterCard, whatever, to access some of the information. Do we have recorded information about the Batwa, the Twas, they call the Twas, you know, the Bagisu culture? What is there to be read about for the sake of tourism or for the platform of the Ugandan government in terms of the Baganda culture? Okay, how many beautiful sites? Because away from people seeing, they can read about the mountains of this country. That can be sold. Because the truth of the matter is that, you know, tourists can come in, but how much can they do in a country that is locked down? Part of the things that bring them is to have these interactions with societies. So we must think different as we roll out this particular budget. Secondly, you go to issues of health. We're rolling out a budget in the midst of a health crisis, where we have no beds, we have challenges of oxygen, we have challenges of ambulances, we have challenges of medical practitioners not being paid, all these back.
So that calls for prioritizing?
So that would mean that it is, in a docket of health, we have much more work to do, because everything else in this budget, apart from security, is determined by how well you handle health. For example, the biggest challenge today is vaccination. How are we handling that as we are rolling out this? The president has been talking about innovation. People are in laboratories. How much are we investing in that? That should be the bigger picture today. Because today, if your health system in terms of COVID is not well aligned, your education is down, your tourism is down, your agriculture is down, just to mention but a few. So not much you can do apart from streamlining and making vivid and robust your health sector. Because at the end of the day, the human resource is away. The people who have financial interactions on a daily are not able to do it because there is a health threat. So our major focus as we roll out this particular budget should be emphasizing on what can we do in terms of healthcare to bring back this human resource into meaningful engagement, socio-economic engagement. Now, that is the challenge of government, that the first thing they want to look at today, or they would want to look at, is how do we enhance or make available hukok vaccination. Secondly, how do we increase the rate of recovery in terms of those who get sick? First thing, let's look at the beds. Are hospitals available? Do we have doctors present there? Is there medication? Is that medication affordable? It's one thing medicine to be there, because the truth of the matter is that medicine is there. In this country, there's medicine.
From a dialogue I think I had with Robert, the cost is not so much on medicine. The cost of COVID-19 is on the supplementary needs of a patient being attended to.
Yes.
The PPE.
That's the personal protective equipment.
That is very expensive, and they put that bill on, especially for the private sector. For public, of course, it stated that it's free, but for private, that is on you. And imagine that has to be changed every single day. So you have to pay 300,000 shillings to a disposable thing.
So that means that now for this budget, 2021-2022, there has to be now prioritizing. We look at what was earlier read out and what Ugandans know, which key areas. Felix has pointed out health. I think that is a very good area. Security, no doubt, we don't want to venture into that. That is an obvious. But also I think the area of ICT at such a time. In this budget, there was an allocation of, I think, 134.9 billion that are going into expanding the broadband network in the country. Because now we know that many Ugandans actually are depending on internet.
That's a hoax.
It's not a hoax, Felix, because you've rightly said now business is being, life of Ugandans now more so focusing.
How much? We must.
That is 134.9
it's on record. Billion. If you remember when Honorable Tumwebaze, what is her name?
Frank Tumwebaze.
Yes, was still Minister of ICT. Do you know the things he promised? If you remember, and these things are on record. Free internet in Kampala, by 2021 we shall have. You see, we need to be realistic. As you want to focus on electronic transmissions in terms of internet,
it's vital, yes.
Vital. Robert,
education, you're going to have online. People are working from home.
It's not going to be online.
People are working from home. You see, I think this is also one of the sectors that really is very critical.
Which work are they doing at home? Which work? Let's be serious. You look at the informal sector vis-a-vis the formal sector in Uganda. We must tailor our energies relevantly. Kirabo, a farmer, a person who's hatching chicks, doesn't need the internet for now to hatch chicks. We must focus. But there's something the Ministry of ICT can do for them in terms of content. Are we having people creating the relevant content that is going on air today? It is only in this country where you have more social shows about naked women, funny songs, than shows about what are people learning as they are home, what is on our TV screens. This year, as COVID, for the last, for example, if people should have come out of this 1 year lockdown, have learned something from their screens in terms of agriculture, in terms of home-based farming, veranda, people are farming on verandas, but what is on screens? Content. ICT ministry has a challenge to develop relevant content in times like this. You see, the broadband issue is not guaranteed that it is a game changer.
Closer to them and therefore utilize it for their benefit.
There are people who will need it,
purposes,
but there are people who don't need it. So it's unfair for us to say we are doing no. You see, something that you need to know. You see, this TV and radio are the most close of information to people. You look at the following of various radios, various TVs, but what content is on air? As the mother ministry, how do we tailor relevant content in times of COVID? For purposes of development, because remember we are looking at our national plan, we have a vision 2040. How do we tailor people's mindset using media to to develop these people, even amidst COVID? What are people listening to? Are they listening to more music than more developmental programs? Are they for example, programs about healthcare at home? How many do you hear of on the radio? Let's be honest, on TV.
Music
that Priscilla has come to teach people about how COVID is spread, and we give her maybe 1 hour and a half. Because that's the truth of the matter. These things, you see, we look at home remedies of curing COVID as by the ways in a program. Never look at we say, well, okay, let's go back. Now, content, because, and this has been the biggest challenge in terms of content development. And if you and me believe and know that as a matter of fact, that today's media world is marred by 70% useless content, and that I say on purposes of record. Across the spectrum, TV, radio, 70%. So, as we roll out this budget, I think it's important that because times have changed, we must also see how because everything is about mindset. How do we use ICT, internet? Look at what's happening on social media, honestly. Honestly,
one of the biggest challenges that
before you start crying, you're crying for internet they're going to give you, which is good, and to use it for what? So first appreciate the mindset of the people in times like this, then you can give them when they know what to use it for.
Well, that is part of what we expect in this budget that is being rolled out beginning today. Of course, with the challenge of how it's going to be financed, but also do we look at priority sectors, because priorities have changed due to COVID-19. Do we have ways where we can divert resources to the most vital or critical sectors of this country to see Ugandans through this trying moment? When we return, we'll be looking at what is trending in the papers. Priscilla will be preparing for traffic updates and also mulling with nature and weather. We'll return shortly. Keep it on UBC TV.
What does it mean to be closer together? It's taking the last bus home for a surprise visit. Closer together is strangers finding a connection. It's bringing home something much more than a box. It's the warmth of home, or the beginning of something new. There's magic in sharing the things that we love, because it's those things that bring us close together.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different, even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body, because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Airtel Uganda has the best and most affordable rates when it comes to withdrawing and sending money. Withdraw money for as low as 330 shillings up to a maximum of 12,500 shillings. Sending money is just as affordable as ever. Absolutely unbeatable. Use Airtel Money on the most affordable network with the largest network of Airtel Money branches in Uganda. Dial *185# to get started. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
We've just been looking at Uganda's expected revenue and the expected expenditure. So get to interest yourself knowing that now the financial year has begun, 2021-2022, and it begins amidst a couple of challenges, more so financing and looking at priority areas. And this is what the New Vision also has brought out this morning. Ministry budgets to be cut to raise 600 billion. I told you, to ensure this goes to the area of health. Some will be affected, as much as 40% of their budget being cut to raise this 600 billion. Matia Kasaija says, I'm not going to borrow this time. Still, police issues alert. 6 girls go missing in 1 week. Very sad story, and that speaks volumes to parents there. Then, anniversary NRM hails China. That is the CPC of China, marking 100 years today. Still in the New Vision, they bring you the brains behind COVID-X treatment, and that is Professor Patrick Ogura. The story is inside there. However, Ugandans sometimes are exploitive. From 10,000, now 80,000 in some pharmacies if you're to purchase COVID-X. Still, the New Vision brings you, that is education pull-out, Senior 2 Physics and Mathematics, and Senior for English and Entrepreneurship. Felix Nkunda, take us through.
Government rather to fix spy chips in all vehicles and bikes. Now, of course, also at a cost of 20,000 annual tracking fee there, and government has given the deal to a Russian firm. It's named a global system which will install tracking devices in all public and private vehicles, motorcycles and water vessels in the country. Now, of course, new taxes as financial year starts. ABSJ issues COVID Plan B and doctors who have lost to COVID. Now, half doctor injected 800 people with water, and Kayunga Hospital gets COVID center. Why livestock census failed to take off. Now, inside the papers, Putin accuses UK and US, accused them military of staging a complex provocation after British warships sailed near the coast of Crimea. Now, Laurent Gbagbo, Ivory Coast former president Laurent Gbagbo, has criticized the International Criminal Court for being biased. Of course, from the archives, the photo of Dr. Gilbert Bukenya handing over rice to some people in Iriri sub-county. Now, today in history, Kenya created out of Uganda. That was in 1895, July 1st, and Hong Kong returned to China also on the same date. Now, quite sad here, we see medics who have died in line of duty. And of course, it does include Dr. Samuel Chisaye, that is Chisaye Mutumba, Dr. Stephen Sebude, Dr. John Baptist Mukasa, Dr. Alex Mulindwa, Dr. Ian Bwete, Miri Grace Arach, Dr. Peter Emodek, Dr. Abbas Kakembo, Grace Hope Mulindwa, Betty Impeke, and Dr. Jeremy Oramuchu.
In the New Vision, more hope in terms of COVID-19. Looking at statistics, today we have the new deaths that were recorded are 34. Total death so far in Uganda is 1,023. But the good news is new confirmed cases. Now it is 543. We are moving away from 1,000 cases plus registered people who have tested positive a day, and now at least we've hit half of that figure. We believe we are flattening the curve, and we shall indeed flatten the curve if we cooperate as Ugandans. Symptoms, just a reminder, if you have a fever, cough, shortness of breath, sore throat and a headache, please seek medical advice. That could be COVID. Looking at today in history, it was on this very date, the 1st of July, the year 1971, when Amin launched, that is a development plan. President Idi Amin launched the third 5-year development plan at International Conference Center. We also look at the same date, the same month, but the year 2008, when Nelson Mandela was taken off terror watch list. That is after, that is the post-apartheid elected president of South Africa was removed from the US terror watch list. Still looking at facts and myths regarding COVID-19. This time we have Dr. Jane Francis Serwanga and answers a question: do we have to be scared of the Delta variant? That is a question, and she gives you an answer. Know your member of parliament. They bring you, that is a Ruth Molly and Oguru, that is a MP Maracha East County. So much there. Politics, health, in the new vision.
Now in sports, I will be looking at Red Eagles manned hats. Wow. We see Coach Bossa has galvanized the side emblazoned by forward Eric Kambale, 15 goals, and of course Love Affair defined by Express FC, and a Spaniard on the move there, but also Seninde to start own women's football club. Something quite interesting. And UTA provides COVID-19 fund to players' request for government support. FIFA look beyond Sekafa with a Gulf trip, and Nakai aims to break 2-minute barrier at Oslo Diamond League. Now Arthur Smith warns Jamaican and US rivals she will deliver, but also Lucerne meeting record thrill at Kiplimo there in the 20, of course, the Olympics yet to come.
New Vision Sports, we look at Uganda Cranes headed for Saudi Arabia. That is for the training camp there. Then Kip gets in, that is qualifying for the 500 meters, that is at the Olympics, and Ruben will be giving you more of this. But also you look at FC, that is on 7, that is the chairperson there, Express chairman Chiriowa Chiwanuka, and more in the Euro. Now England in the last 8. But these and more, of course, Ruben Kasela with sports updates will be here to give you more regarding that. Daily Nation.
Well, that is where we'll be looking at Uhuru and Raila. Final plea there. And of course, the tax burden, airtime and internet costs expect to increase as MPs propose higher taxes. There in the Daily Nation, but also we're looking at that court battle of Raila and of course the government there. Now Gachao in trouble over 12 billion tender. Well, much and that is what you can get yourself if you get a copy of the Daily Nation and of course a Daily Monitor and the New Vision. Get yourself the papers. Now that there's no traffic on the roads, you will have this at the comfort of your sitting room or bedroom or wherever you want to read it from. But also let the traffic lady tell us on how you can get yourself to the most important places where you're accepted, either by foot or flying. I don't know how else people will be getting to town. Good morning, Priscilla, once again.
And in case you're moving around town and or any place and you come across Awan Francis Baguma, please don't forget or do your best and report this doctor who is still on the run for having connived with the 2 nurses, and they've been injecting people with fake COVID-19 vaccines. Wonders never cease to end. But I think the traffic lady is now ready to take us through what she's planned for you today. Priscilla.
Well, good morning to you once again, and thank you so much for that conversation and insight into the dailies for the first day of July 2021. Now we get to look at traffic, and I want to check out a route here that has been under temporary closure and also reconstruction. And we've had a report that is coming in from UNRA, and they are saying that as of 1st July, new month is coming through, and they've given us a progress on the Ntinda Chisasi interchange works, and that is along the Kampala Northern Bypass Expansion Project. We're looking at the expected benefits of this project being reduced transit in time, and then you also do have improved safety of road users. The project process or progress right now is at 91%. Now this is a particular area that we are talking about, and as you can see, these yellows that do have a man holding as if a spade indicators that construction work is still ongoing onto this particular interchange route that connects with the Ntinda Chisasi Road on the Kampala Northern Bypass. And we see these particular routes are also were initially the original road that was the connector route. However, because of the change and the diversions, this will no longer exist, and they're going to be opening up a whole new route in the Chisasi roundabout that is temporarily closed. But UNRA has told us that these works are at 91%. So by end of year, this should actually be a different story for people who stay in Chisasi, Chanja and the likes. And it's been cumbersome getting into your territories or your areas of residency. Many people have been using Chisota Road as an alternative route. Many people have had to actually go around and use other options that have cost you more fuel, and but have also taught you some new shortcuts or other ways to actually get into the likes of Chisasi, Chanja and onwards. So that is some of the updates that are coming through from UNRA. Also, I do believe that there's someone who has been making complaint of the Natete Nakauka road and saying that it's in a terrible state and that UNRA should actually do something about it, or at least if you cannot maintain it, tarmac it once again. And UNRA is coming out making a commitment still this July. They say that the company that they had contracted to start on those repair works actually got hit by COVID-19, but anytime soon they will be having another company that will be coming on to start those works. So imagine, even if we expect things like infrastructure to be going on, road networking should be going on smoothly, but these are human beings that actually cause this work to be operational, and when they are affected, then business is affected. That is how serious COVID-19 is, that much as it affects this individual, but this individual is a key element in a project that is ongoing, and that will cause a standstill, a delay in delivery, and so much so forth. In short, what am I saying? Be careful, sanitize, wear your mask, and ensure that you social distance to protect yourself and protect your work, for the essential workers that have been given the liberty to actually go on and work in these hard times. Now, speaking of work, of course, we did have the conversation earlier on with Felix and Robert about the heat wave that is coming all the way from Canada, and that is the northwest side of the Pacific Ocean, and hitting Canada. It's starting to actually encroach on the borders of USA to Canada, and we don't know what to expect. Yesterday it was 70 people that had been recorded as passed on because of the heat wave. This morning it's 165, and yet these numbers are still growing, because until the government can do something about this heat wave, or anything can be done about this heat wave, people are going to keep losing their lives, because it cuts off literally oxygen supply, and most especially the elderly may find difficulty in breathing, may end up losing their lives just like that. That is how important nature is. That is how important green is. Now, if you have a home that doesn't have green, you're in big trouble. If you're planning to have a home that will not have green, you're in trouble, and because of your plans, then the rest of the country's plans are going to go backward, because we are not considerate that while we love beautiful things that are not into an ecosystem, one day perhaps we will be the Canada of then experiencing a heat wave here on the African continent. Now, that is something that is quite avoidable, and Molen Kenyana is going to be joining us this morning to expound more on the effects, the causes of the heat wave, and how here in Africa we can plan in advance to avoid such natural calamities to hit us and claim our very own.
Airtel Uganda has the best and most affordable rates when it comes to withdrawing and sending money. Withdraw money for as low as 330 shillings up to a maximum of 12,500 shillings. Sending money is just as affordable as ever. Absolutely unbeatable. Use Airtel Money on the most affordable network with the largest network of Airtel Money branches in Uganda. Dial *185# to get started. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by was brought to you by.
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Central Points when you deposit, send, and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go, MTN.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Yes, a very good morning to you all, and thank you for joining us at Weather and Nature here in UBC TV. My name is Molin Kenyana, and I will be taking you through the weather prospects, yes, from here around home in Kampala and also the entire Uganda, but also we want to look at what is happening around the world in terms of weather. Yes, the events that do happen across the world have an effect on the weather that we experience on a daily, and it's important to note that in science we call it the butterfly effect, meaning that one thing that actually happens on one part of the atmosphere is most likely to influence or interfere with the weather systems that are back here at home. And for that, we do expect weather to also be influenced by events that happen elsewhere in the world. And right now, top of the stories in what is happening is the heat wave that is raging across Western Canada and also for northwestern parts of the USA. We have seen that this is something that we've not, this is something that we have actually not seen before in terms of extremes. We've had 3 consecutive days of unprecedented extremes when it comes to heat wave. 3 days of breaking record temperatures. Now, these temperatures haven't just broken the records, they have actually buried them. We're looking at temperatures going up to 49.6 degrees centigrade, and that was recorded yesterday across Layton in British Columbia. Now, this area is known for being one of the coldest places, actually. Imagine, they've not had the normal temperatures are usually around 20s to 30s to paint you a picture. Now imagine going from that to doubling the digits. That is really extreme, and so far the reporters getting from CNN and also what Robert, Kirabo and Priscilla were taking us through this morning, we have a report of more than 230 people reported dead, and that is the vulnerable communities, mostly looking at children, looking at the elderly, and also pregnant women. So this is really alarming when it comes to looking at what extreme weather can do. And scientists are already connecting dots and connecting this event to climate change, because also at the same time, we're looking at what we're calling the heat dome 2021, looking at mostly this heat wave that has come, some kind of heat wave that has come to that side of the atmosphere, and in terms of how it's now affecting the region that is close to. Now, this could happen anywhere in the world, really, because we are looking at temperatures being above normal for everywhere across the globe. Talk about global warming. And I'm happy to see that we are still talking about lawsuits, climate-related lawsuits. And the report that also came out yesterday showing that so far we have over 1,500 climate-related lawsuits that people are proceeding to go ahead into courts to call for help, looking at mostly companies that are emitting carbon dioxide that has put us in this situation. So yes, I think personally, don't be surprised if you see me looking for a lawyer trying to put up a lawsuit for companies and industries that I will have identified that are actually bringing us into these situations in terms of carbon dioxide emissions. So yes, this is still to open your eyes and look at how serious situations could get should you continue polluting our environment. We don't want to be in this situation anymore, clearly. So look at what the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is also giving us, because these are a body of the UN that tries to look at the projections of what could happen. And we had leaked reports recently that are showing very alarming projections. We could be looking at the worst. This heat wave is just at the beginning. We could be looking at the worst. And this is what the leaked report is actually painting as a picture. Because we have looked at a situation where we expect temperatures to actually be maintained at 1.5 degrees Celsius in terms of what we're looking at by 2050. And that is what the Paris Agreement stipulates. So should we divert from that? Should we divert away from keeping temperatures to well below 1.5 degrees centigrade? Then we could be looking at more extremes. Even here in Uganda, we have seen more frequent flooding. We have seen more landslides, especially for the Elgon region and also for Kasese, where we've had rivers, River Nyamamba burst its banks, and we still see drought spells, especially for the Karamoja region and most of northern Uganda. These are likely to be more extreme because guess what? Yes, in Africa, we have had that record of not polluting much. We do not cause most of this, but at the same time, even what happens out there, if the world is warming, so is our atmosphere. So we will still be looking at these events, even ourselves. So it is important that we also get on board. And what we've seen Gabon do in terms of looking at temperatures actually going up to, you know, what can be normal. They are putting more money and chewing into what we are calling really mostly afforestation, planting more trees, but also not interfering with the trees that we already have. So that is something that we could also embark on and look at how we can actually help our atmosphere, help our nature. And I want to also take a look at what we're expecting this week across the region and also across Uganda for starting 1st July and also up to the end of the week, that is up to 6th July. We do have more prospects for the weather across the region, but also for Uganda. We are looking at mostly northern Uganda and also the Karamoja region, picking up more rains compared to the rest of the country, where you see the green colors. That is where we do expect more rains across that region, and also northwestern Uganda. That is the West Nile, Arua, Yumbe. We do expect more rains to come in, and that is also where you see the green to yellow. So those areas are expected to have more rains, mostly also across Gulu. That green to yellow is also indicating more rains that is expected this week across that region. And also I think this relates to our seasonal forecast really for July and up to September. So we did have that seasonal outlook at the beginning of June that was looking at this area having more rains compared to the rest of the country, and we can see the projection still shows that, and we have been having more rains across that area. Also for the Mount Elgon region, that is where we have Bale, that is where we have Bududa. You can see the green there, close to Eldoret, also Kitale, that is the western part of Kenya. That is where we also have that green color. That area is expected to have more rainy conditions compared to the rest of the country. Now, where you see the orange, that is expected to have a little bit of rains, but not to the level of other regions that are expected in yellow and green. So we do have most the Choga region, much of central, western Uganda and southwestern in the orange color. So that indicates we are going to have rains over there, but only on very isolated scale, and that is just light showers. And even if they get to a scattered level, they are still really in few millimeters of rainfall. So that is expected across western Uganda, and Lake Victoria Basin still expected to have really light showers to no rainfall across the area. We do expect quite a reduction across Kampala, across Wakiso, Entebbe, and also for that area towards the eastern Lake Victoria. That is where we have Tororo, that is where we have Jinja, Masaka, and also for central Uganda across Mityana, Mubende. We do expect quite a reduction in wet weather activities compared to the rest of the country, but we will be looking at, as the week goes on, we can see a pickup across that area because the lake does have that effect of having effects of Lake Victoria that enhances wet conditions across that area. So that would also come in play and can bring us rains across most areas as the week goes through. We shall be looking at more prospects into that during our daily weather updates here in UBC. Talking of which, we will be taking you through our morning forecast for today. Well, we're looking at what is happening across the country. I can tell you from the satellites, most areas are having mostly very pleasant weather in terms of sunny and cloudy conditions, and that is across most areas within the country. Only for the Lake Victoria Basin, that this morning they started off with that rainy condition, but those were only over the islands of Lake Victoria, but a bit outshore we can look at mostly cloudy conditions. Now this morning we are forecasting sunny intervals, that is across Midwestern, where we have Hoima, we have Kivale, we have Masindi in that category, looking at a mix of clouds and sunshine and very normal temperatures at 26. By that I mean something that we are used to across that northern there and Toroko, Kamu, Gegwa, that is where temperatures are 25, quite chilly morning, also with intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions. And for southern rain, have Kasese, where this area is usually having quite different in terms of temperatures compared to the rest of the Rwenzori region. We're expecting to have sunny intervals there with a warm 27 degrees. Now Kigezi Highlands, that is where we have Kabale, we do have Kisoro in that category, expecting also a mix of clouds and sunshine. Temperatures quite cold at 23 degrees centigrade. Now this is the one place that if you want to experience kind of winter compared to what we have across the country, you will find it in Kigezi Highlands, and that is where we have Kabale, Kisoro. That area is really close. If you're not a resident there and you're traveling towards that area, you might need to find a way to keep yourself warm, because compared to the rest of the country, that area is usually quite cold. Now looking at Eastern Choga, that is where we have Soroti, Katakwi. We do expect also to start the day with the intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions at a warm 27. Now for the northeastern part of the region, that is where we have the Karamoja region, we do expect those showers to come through, or clouds are already building up across this area. We do expect those rains to pick up as the morning goes by, and temperatures will be at 26 degrees centigrade. Mount Elgon Highlands, that is where we have Mbale, Sironko, Bududa in that category. We do have Kapchora as well, starting off at a mix of clouds and sunshine, temperatures at 25, quite a chilly morning also over there. And the fact that they are close to that Mount Elgon means that influences the cold conditions in that area. So yes, 25 can be quite chilly for that area. Yes, Eastern Lowlands, we do have Palisa, Budaka in that category. We do have Kalilo in that category. We are expecting to start the day with intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions, and that will be at a warm 27 degrees centigrade. Now looking at what else we have for you in our forecast for today, Southwestern also expected to have intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions. That is where we have Mbarara, we have Bushenyi, Rubirizi in that category. Shema, we do expect temperatures to be at 26, quite a normal morning, not so cold, also not so warm for that area, but we do expect rains to come in later in the day. Do look out for those will be coming in the afternoon, but for now only in terms of sunny and cloudy conditions. West Nile, that is Arua, and we also have Nebi, Yumbe in that category. We do expect intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions this morning. That's a warm 27, but also look out for that rainy condition that is likely to be coming in later in the afternoon. That will be later in the evening, so that you have to look out for. Central North, we do have sunny intervals also for this morning, with maximum temperatures going up to 27 this morning, and that includes Padel, Kitugum, Gulu as well. Also for the northern Chioga, that is where we have Lira, Otuke, Amolata. That area is expected to also start off with mostly a mix of clouds and sunshine. For now, it is quite cloudy. Actually, we do have clouds already developing over that area, and we could also be looking at some rainy conditions coming in later in the afternoon, although for now temperatures are at 27 degrees centigrade. Now, eastern parts of Lake Victoria, that is where we do have Bosia, that is where we do have Tororo, Jinja, Iganga. We do expect to have mostly intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions. Temperatures at very kind of pleasant 26, not so warm and still not so cold across that area. Coming back here with Central Lake Victoria Basin, that is where we have Kampala, the nation's capital. We do have Entebbe in that category. We do have Wakiso, PG, and Buyikwe also in that category. We do expect mostly in terms of sunny and cloudy conditions. We are already having cloudy conditions, and the sun is already coming through at actually 25, quite pleasant, and we can expect to maintain similar weather as the morning goes through into the afternoon. Also for the Western Lake Victoria Basin, starting off with the pleasant intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions, that is where we have Masaka. We do have Rengo in that category. We do have Zimbabwe, the Antonde, expecting to also have intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions at 26 degrees centigrade. Looking at Western, we do have Mitiana there. We do have Gomba, we do have Mubende, Chiboga in that category, and Chankwanzi. We do expect to have mostly a mix of clouds and sunshine. Temperatures are 26. Do look out for rainy conditions expected in the afternoon across this area. We already see some of the systems that are likely to develop later in the afternoon, but for now, do enjoy a mix of clouds and sunshine. Now, eastern parts of Central is where we have Ruwero, Nakaseke, and Nakasongola. We do expect to have mostly intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions. We are also likely to have the rainy system develop more in the afternoon, but that will be later in the evening, and that will be just across the eastern parts of Central. Yes, that is what we're looking at in terms of our weather prospects for this morning across the country, and we'll be looking at more in Good Morning Uganda. We have the agenda coming up, and sports will also be coming through. Ruben is also preparing something really incredible for you guys, and we do have more programming across UBC. Do stay tuned. We are streaming live on YouTube. You can follow us there. It is a UBC Television Uganda. My name is Molin Kenyana, wishing you a